So the 2020 election is a very controversial topic, but if you've done your research thoroughly, you have a strong opinion about it, especially with regards to it being stolen, meaning it was supposed to go to Trump, but somehow fraud and nefarious activity have all contributed to Biden being allowed to win. Now, the degree to which you think that that was allowed or part of a bigger plan of devolution and continuity of government is up to each individual. But recently, Kash Patel was on Fox News with Maria B, and she asked Kash about this. So let's listen to what they say and talk about it.
Let me ask you about the mission, because every time I see President Trump, he says this repeatedly, that the election was rigged in 2020. I mean, he says it all the time. We all know that. And it's almost getting lost because he says it so much. You've been at the FBI now 14 months. Have you done anything about that? And do you have anything to tell us about that?
Absolutely, Maria. Look, I've been with the president nearly since day one on this. As I told you earlier, I was the one that led the effort with folks like Trey Gowdy, Johnny Ratcliffe, and Devin Nunes to expose the corruption that tried to thwart President Trump's first presidential election run. And we saw the FISA abuses there. And I lived through it, and the media came at me then, too. That just shows you that when you're over the target, you keep pummeling the target because the media is going to try and pummel you. We are not going to take this and have not taken this laying down. We did already indict former Director Comey, and that's going through the judicial process. But we also, at this FBI, even though we uncovered what we uncovered back in the House Intel days, I had to come in here and find rooms that they hid from the world. I had to come in here and find access on our computer systems in restricted and prohibited case files that they purposely put in places for no one to see and find. We have found all this information. We are working with our Department of Justice partners, and I am never going to let this go, because they not only have personally attacked the presidency of the United States and President Trump, but they tried to thwart our elections and rig the entire system. And that is not something that is going to stop on. That is not something I'm going to allow on my watch. Right. But you just have to remember, they built this disease temple over 20 and 30 years. We've got all the evidence. I can announce on your show that we've got all the information we need. We're working with our prosecutors at the Department of Justice and their Attorney General Todd Blanche, and we are going to be making arrests. And it's coming, and I promise you, it's coming soon.
Now, that's absolutely crazy to hear directly from the FBI director, and that they are working on things behind the scenes, that there's going to be arrests, that there's some kind of investigation, they have all the evidence, and that something is happening very soon. So whatever that time frame is, we'll see. But right now, one of the biggest stories of this probably generation in the last 10 plus years is, do you believe that 2020 was stolen? Meaning that Trump was rightfully elected, but it was taken away from him because of all this fraud or whatever happened, hacking or electrical, digital, the voting, the ballots, and all that stuff? Or do you believe that it's completely ridiculous, where he was a sore loser and he's just spreading misinformation and saying all these things when really it's just talk when he lost, rightfully, in some sense? And this narrative is something where what I call your perception of reality is shaped by what people say, what majority of people believe something, the bandwagon effect. And then if you do your own due diligence and research, then you will form an opinion to say this is what happened. And other people will say, no, this is what the natural world, the majority of the population, what reality looks like, because there was nothing done about it. And you got to understand that there's a big operation happening right now. There's a big white hat operation where they are trying to take down the big whole thing, the roots, uproot it, the deep state, the swamp that Trump always says, the black cats, this cabal, deep state, whatever word you want to put in there. This operation is unfolding in a multi-year, multi-decade process. Even Kash Patel just said 20, 30 some years, and it's been a long time coming, because they have had this going for a very long time. And before Trump was made president in his first term, the Anons, and even before I was into all of this, they were saying that this was an operation in the making from the White Hats for a very, very long time. There's a whole slew of generals, white hat generals, military, these guys behind Trump, and they've allowed this to play out because they can't just take one or two down and say, oh, haha, we got them. There's a whole syndicate, whole network, and all of this needs to be done strategically. And a lot of the sealed indictments, a lot of the justice happening, it's going to thwart other things that are happening in parallel. And so you got to allow patience to play out. You got to allow things to play out. And so I believe that Kash Patel, as he has said just now, admittingly in that interview, he's doing something about it. And you're going to see arrests. You're going to see mass arrest. You're going to see justice. And from the courts of heaven, God knows, God sees the injustice done on this nation, and he's going to deal with it because we've prayed about it, we've lifted it, surrendered it all to him, and he's going to have to deal with it. The issue is the narrative around it. What do you believe is your perception of reality? What do you think is true or not? This is the reality we live in. It's a psyop, and also it's narrative information warfare. You are being controlled by the loudest voice in the room. You're being controlled by what majority believe. But is that true? Is that something that you have to pray about and research and understand, to each their own, in your journey of truth seeking, of finding out what is actually facts or not, what's misinformation and fake news or not? That's the reality we are living in. And I pray that God would work to open the eyes of the normies and other people as they come to light with this. And also, however this blows up, whether you see arrests on streets and it looks like Trump and Kash and these guys are exuding some kind of dictatorial power, a lot of people are not going to receive it. They're not going to receive it, especially a lot of the Christians that are under the radar. They haven't really caught up with news. They're going to see something like this and say, you know what, that's absolutely crazy. And they're going to form their opinion. Same thing is happening right now with Iran, the Iranian regime, the Revolutionary Guard, all these guys. They think that Trump is just doing crazy stuff when they haven't done their research. So I just want to encourage you guys with this. And also, if you guys want to support me and my ministry and everything that I'm doing, I would love it if you guys can partner with me financially. We are a little short of our monthly goal. Would love it if you guys can help me out at my website down below, givesendgo.com/chrisyoonyt. It's in the description. I also have PayPal, Zelle, and Venmo if you guys want to help me out in that way. Thank you guys so much. Love you guys. More to come. Talk to you guys very soon.